All right, so tonight I'm a little bit clueless as to what I'll be doing. I've got some sources of inspiration, and I played around a little bit today because yeah, I feel a little bit rusty with copycat and that kind of stuff lately. So first up, I'm probably going to do another one or two things from Inconvergent later as well. Inconvergent is a digital artist. He's been a massive inspiration to me for many years now. Um, he's made some really amazing stuff. You should really check him out on Twitter and especially his webpage. He's got beautiful stuff there. It's really good. Um, and like I said, it's just been a constant source of inspiration to me. You should just go and check it out. He's got so many different pieces, and he also releases a lot of his software on GitHub. And there's just so much stuff there that I'm not even sure where you can start. He's been doing things for a long time. This is the latest experiments or so I'm doing lately with like this focus effect. But he's got such a strong visual style, and it's very generative and algorithmic in nature, and I'm always really happy when I see things he comes up with. He's a real true original digital artist to me. So big up to Inconvergent for always making such good stuff. Um, so I'm actually going to start with a really simple one tonight, I think. So you know, sometimes we say fake it till you make it, like make something look like something else. So I'm going to try and get this one done. And who knows, maybe I'll just do a variation or two like these pictures here. So without further ado, let's get started. So I'm going to go to cables and I'm going to create a new patch. So if we're looking at this one, it's 4 cubes. So I think that's going to be a job for mesh instancer. Okay. All right, so we're going to get a main loop. And let's go into, let me just test this for a minute. Is it, I've forgotten what the shortcut was. We'll just do it like this. Okay. So I'm going to go to main loop, and let's start with the basics. So it's a kind of white background. So we're going to grab a sequence first, because most of the time you want a different order on things. And then I'm going to grab a clear color, and this is going to change the background color of the screen. So I'm just going to put it up. I'm not going to make it pure white, lower it down a little bit. And now I want to have a mesh instancer. So I'm going to grab a mesh instancer, and it's going to need a cube, obviously. So I'm going to grab the cube as the geometry, and we're going to put that in here. And now we need to give it a positional array. So I'm going to grab points cube. That's right here, and it's 2 by 2 by 2. Now the reason we don't see anything is because all the cubes are so big that they're just like absolutely filling up the screen. So let's put this on 0.2, 0.2, and 0.2. Okay, so we've got the cubes there, and they're pretty far apart. So now we're going to get the multiplier. And the multiplier is basically the space between each cell, like each point. So we're going to pull that down. Now what you see there is this cube still in the middle. So the mesh instance is drawing alongside the original geometry that's going into it. So if you've got this mesh instance and you go, I don't want that one, just click the geometry and look for something that's probably called render mesh. We click that and we turn it off. Great. So I'm going to grab actually, because it looks like this kind of reflective stuff, but doesn't need to be. As you can see, matcap here, the example picture. I'm going to click add. I'm just going to save for a minute, and we're going to need a texture. So we're going to grab a texture to feed in as the matcap. We're going to go to file. We've got a really nice selection of matcaps here in cables, and we've got like different ones which all have really different qualities. I just want one where we can see the sides, like the difference between them. This will do for now. So if we look at the original picture, it kind of looks orthogonal to me with the projection. So let's get this, let's pull this down, and actually let's just do it here, right at the top. And I'm going to do orthogonal. Okay, so now it looks like this, and now I'm going to get a transform view, and I'm going to rotate this, say 45 and 45. Okay, cool. That's pretty close already. We're going to go into the transform view and we're going to scale it up. If I look in this picture though, it's not exactly 45 degrees. So let's tilt it back a bit. It's something like this, right? And let's make this a bit more of a box shape. Oh, I've got some really weird perspective stuff going on there. This is a weird illusion. Do I have to change this with transform the view before it's orthogonal? Not too sure what's going on here. This looks like some weird optical illusion. One more. That is unusual. I don't get it. This has to do with... I'm not sure what that is. That's really strange. Maybe I can just hide it so we don't see it anymore. Okay, that's really, really weird. Because we're not rendering the original cube. I'm not too sure what's happening there. Maybe I just need to save and reload. Just give me a moment. Let's take a peek. I'm really not too sure what that is. So there's this ghost cube right there in the middle, and I'm not sure where that's coming from. That's very confusing. It's because of the skip. No. I'm very confused right now. Where is that guy coming from? This ghost cube. Let's just try something different. See if it's a problem with the material. Don't know. No, there must be something really simple that I'm missing right now for this to be appearing. Why is this back on? Whoops. Okay, my bad. I do not know why that was on. It was probably because I saved and reloaded without it being there. Alright, my bad. It can happen. 22.5. And let's put this on 45. Okay. Hey, STV Popsy team. Hey there. Alright. And I'm still getting this incredibly strange optical illusion. It's because of the colors being exactly the same. Oh, would you believe that? Okay, now I get it. I feel like an idiot right now. Okay, so let's see if we can get a different material that gets around this problem. Actually, let's just change the angle. Wow, okay. Right, let's make it a bit bigger. Oh, there we go. Now it's different. I can live with that. All right. Wow, that was incredibly strange. I just want to tweak this a bit more. Yeah, this is better because I was just getting completely confused because they had exactly the same color because it's orthogonal, and the direction with the matte cap material makes it look like that. All right, so that's like the basic cubes, right? So now we need to get this like depth of field. Look, so to use depth of field, we need to render this to a texture. So first of all, let's grab a full screen rectangle so we can see what we're rendering. All right, and I'm just going to put it on MSA 4.4 because I don't know if you see it, but without MSA-A, we got a few jaggies there. If we put it on 2, it becomes better. For 8 is really overkill for this, so I'm just going to leave it on 4. That's fine, because we're also busy with performance. So now I need to get the depth texture. So let's go over here. Let's grab an image, compose. Hey Stevie, thanks. Do we know each other? Or is this like, you're like, oh, I've been hearing about this guy doing streams and I'm finally going to catch an episode. Popsy team, it doesn't really ring a bell. If it's demo scene or something like that. Forgive me if I should know you, but I don't. It wouldn't be the first time I had that with anybody. So let's grab the depth texture focus. So we need to get the depth texture here. Let's take a look at what's going on here. So let's pull that far plane down because it's like stretched all the way out to 100 units, right? And if we pull this down, there we go. So now we're getting like the depth texture, right? Okay, so this is always going to be a bit tricky, but I'm going to hold in Shift, move the mouse wheel down, and then it moves in like much smaller numbers there. All right. So we've got the depth texture, and then what we want to do is we want to blur the image based upon that. So we're just going to get the basic blur set up. So, ladies and gentlemen, on Discord, all right. I see a lot of people go by on Discord, but thanks for joining. I hope you're going to enjoy the stream tonight. If you've got any questions, please feel free to pop them in there in the chat. Sometimes I might not see it for a minute or two because I'm a little bit focused on what I'm doing, but I'll get there eventually. So let's just first of all set up like this blur based upon the depth texture focus, okay? So full screen blurs are expensive. So it tells you here as well, I've got this cool hint, full screen blurs are slow, try reducing the resolution to half or a quarter, but because we're doing this in the final image, I'm not gonna worry about that right now. So what we do is we get this depth texture, and you just have to imagine like black is a value of 0 and white is a value of 1. So that's gonna be for each pixel in the fragment shader. So the brighter the pixel, the more blur that's gonna occur. So what I'm gonna do is now I'm gonna plug this in to there. And we're not seeing anything because I've got to do this, and we've got to get the original image, which is here. All right, boom. So just to recap, we get the original coming out here, we put it in the draw image. Here we get the depth texture, and then we use the depth texture focus up. It's like the camera focus. I'm going to use that for a blur. Now this is just way too much. Let's put it on 1. Let's just play around with this for a minute. So if we move the center, as you can see, we get this kind of like effect, but I want it to be narrower, right? So do it like this, and as you can see, we can now get a little bit more of a subtle effect. I can invert it, and then what we get is, let me try this, and this is always like really a bit of tweaking. There we go. So if I look at the original picture, like the front is sharp, and the back is blurry. STV says, just to let you know, I'm teaching children to use cables for free in my spare time, trying to make the new generation. Well, that is awesome. Now I remember you popping up and bringing this up. We thought that was absolutely amazing. Kids are really quick at picking up cables, much faster than most people think. So if you've got any questions or you need any help with that, I don't know, preparing stuff for the class, give a shout. And if you've got some stuff that you want to teach them and you want any advice on how to approach that, also just please give a shout. We're more than happy to help. So here we've got like this basic depth texture focus, but this is really a lot. And it's like, how do we do that? I mean, we can only go so far with tweaking this to kind of work. Like we can get that center, and so the center is like the focal point, right? So when I move that like here, and as you can see, there's a lot of combinations of stuff that we can do here basically. But what I need to do is so I'm going to get the depth texture focus, and I'm going to add a clamp texture. I'm going to put it on remat smooth. Let's see. Okay, so this is giving me something more exaggerated. Let's get this. Okay, this is really tricky. This is going to be hard to get right. So I'll tell you what, let me just get rid of this for a minute. I want to move that far plane up a touch. I think it's just too close. And then yeah, you see, so when I turn the far plane up, this actually made everything worse. Let's put it back into, and let's try doing this. All right. Yeah, I think I need to. So I need to invert it. Yes, actually I want the center to be as close as possible. Let's put this on 3 now. Yeah, this is really tricky stuff to tweak right. Alright, let's try plugging this in now. You know what? Actually, let's get this. So that's some noise. Turn that off. So we can add noise to the image here. All right. Sounds like there's something going on with the neighbors. Okay. So, I'm not exactly happy with this yet, to be honest. All right. There's got to be a better way to get this the way that I want. I don't know what it is. It's really hard to get this right. Maybe I've just got to blur it more to get that look I'm going for. Now I'm going to turn off fast, which makes it obviously slower. I think I know what it is. So like, if you ever get a bit mixed up with cables, check the example. I think I've got to blur the actual depth texture to get what I want. So if we take a look here, yeah, here we got the image compose depth texture, focus and a blur. And that's used as a blur. So let's try that. So I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna add a blur. Right, there we go. Okay, so let's actually save a bit of GPU. And let's put this in like 512 by 256. Let's get that blur. We can leave this one on fast. It doesn't really matter. Yeah, so this is looking more like what I'd like. There we go. And if I just bring a touch of that center up, there we go. Look at that. I mean, I'm not saying this because it's the same, but it's pretty close. So let's get this, and we can turn it a bit more like that, and it's a lot similar. Now I'm not going to try and nail the color right now. That's not on my list of stuff to do, but as you can see, even if we just put the blur on 1, we get this like nice edge base blur there. And we can push this really far, and it actually doesn't look bad. But yeah, as I always say with cables, go real time or go home. So I say let's just try and animate this for a minute. So let's go here. Actually, there's a lot of ways to do this, but I'm just going to hack something together. So I'm going to get a timer, and I'll put that here. And what I want to do now is I want to create like a kind of trigger or a bang, as people are familiar with that term, each time a threshold is crossed. Quick question from KDKLV. What is the difference between render to texture and image compose? Okay, STV says, basically image compose renders the draw image ops, renders the texture, renders a whole scene in a texture, if I'm not wrong. You pretty much got it there. So image compose works with 2D textures, right? But you know, it needs a texture to be fed into it. So you could use depth texture focus, for example, which provides a texture, or draw image. If we press F for flow mode, you can see that image compose goes down, reads this, this all gets processed, and that end result comes back up here. You've got to imagine like a texture is like an empty canvas, right? And when you're going down like this, you're getting all the information to paint into that canvas. Now, Image Compose, for example, can't do that with 3D scenes, but Render to Texture does. So if you notice, if I click on an op, which shows a texture preview, you'll see the preview here. It's a really cool new feature that we've got. So here you can see it without the blur, and if I click this, now you can see it with the blur. Okay, so basically Render to Texture captures a 3D scene and turns that into a 2D texture, because you know, a 3D scene is rendered on the graphics card, but you can't apply 2D texture effects to it. You know, it looks 2D to you on the screen, but it's being calculated in 3D. So render to texture literally means render your 3D scene to a texture. So I hope that answers the question. And the other thing is you get the basic texture, and you also get the depth of each object per pixel, right? So we've got two outputs here, texture and texture depth. So, you know, if we plug the normal texture into depth texture focus, it wouldn't work because this requires a depth texture, and it might look funny because it's red. That's just normal, not to go into it now. So let's just animate this for a minute. So I'm going to say timer, and I want that to loop. So grab the good old modulo. I'm going to put it on 1. I'm going to slow this down to say 0.5. And what I want to do now is I want to get like a trigger each time it crosses like 0.9. So I'm going to grab an op called threshold. And what happens is every time the limit is crossed, it will send out one trigger, and it won't send out a new trigger until the value has dropped below the threshold and gone above it again. So just to test that, let's just pull this out, grab a sequence op, and we're going to press F for flow mode. And I'm going to put threshold on say 0.9. And as you can see, every time it goes past 0.9, it sends out a trigger. So that's great. So F for flow mode is your friend when you're debugging this stuff. So now what I want to do is I want to get a trigger counter. I just basically want to count every single time a trigger goes off. So if we go here now, this number's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? So I want this to spin on the y-axis. So I'm going to put this in 0. So I'm going to get this trigger counter, and I'm going to multiply it by 90. Okay, and I'm going to plug that in just to show what's going to happen. So I'm going to put it on rotate Y, and you're not going to see any difference because it's flipping exactly 90 degrees. So you know, why would you see anything? If I put it on 45, you'll see where we're going, like this, right? But this is like really jarring, and we want like a smooth transition. So what we do is, I'm actually going to put this on 90, and I'm going to subtract 45 because I want to get that view that I had before. So now it's actually flipping, you just don't see it. So to do that, we need to like kind of create a transition, right? There's so many ways to do this, but I'm just going to grab a quick one because we're on a live stream. So smooth, smooths out jumps and values. It needs a trigger, so I'm going to grab this one, and I'm going to pop it in there. And now I'm going to put this in, say, 16. Now a little bit too fast. So because it's all based with the timer and modulo, I'm going to just put this in 0.3. And now we get this. So that actually went pretty good. Yeah, that was pretty good. So that's like a quick copycat of this one. And if you look really closer, you can see there's a lot of like grain, right? And if we really want to get that, we have to just take a quick peek. We've already got quite a lot of it there. What we can do is we can go to the noise texture, and we can add more amount, right? So, you know, this is a crazy amount. And if we put it on nearest, we get this really pixelated stuff, linear, and bitmap's not going to do anything. So, you know, if I'd want this to look better, I could crank up that texture size, obviously, because then it's going to be less blocky. But from my experience, you just don't really need to do this. I'm actually just going to put it on, whoops, 512 by 512. Okay, just save, reload. Okay, so as you can see, it's a crazy amount because it's on, the amount is on 1. And you know, so basically what we're doing here is we're getting this blur and we're adding noise to it. Now it's on 10, which is like a crazy number. You know, if we put it on 1, so this is the blur on the depth texture, right? So if we put it on 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, yeah, I don't know, this looks pretty close to me and I like it. I'm not aiming for perfection. Noise for the grit. We could also make it RGB, which, you know, if you do this, I mean, you're not going to see any actual color, right? Because this is just affecting the depth texture. So, you know, we could even go to town here and just say, hey, let's grab this noise. So that's like the noise on the actual depth texture. I mean, there's so many things you can do with depth texture processing. So let's put it on RGB. We could lower this now, and we could do this to add a little touch of color. I wouldn't do normal. I'd actually do something like subtract. And then we could subtract that from the image, and we could add the touch. And I really doubt that you're seeing these details on the stream, but I'm just exaggerating it now. I'm just cranking it up so that you can see it. Basically, you shouldn't really notice noises there. So let's just turn it down a touch. You can animate it as well, and you get this like old school Quake game effect where when you notice it, it drives you crazy. But if you don't notice it, it's okay. So, but I'm just going to turn it off because I know that plays havoc with streams. So, all in all, pretty simple patch for the same kind of look. And you know, in theory, this is probably going to break everything because the depth texture focus has been tweaked perfectly to this. But let me just save. Let's go here. Let's put this, for example, on 10 by 10 by 10. As you can see, we've got a lot of clipping now because of the orthogonal. So if I'm correct, we can just go here and we're just going to scale everything, whoops, down. And as you can see, we've already also got this like crazy kind of look, and I could try and move it all into focus for this kind of thing. And this is actually like a really interesting thing, right? I mean, if we look at this, what's happening is it's blurring more and more the further it goes from the center, right? So, you know, if we think about that, we don't need to literally use the depth texture focus. We could pretty much use anything. I mean, it's just a gradient, right? So, you know, what happens if we go here? And this could look horrible. I mean, it's an improvisation session. So let's grab waveform. This one, I have no idea if this is going to work. Well, look, you can already see here what's happening, right? You know, this is an interesting thing that we can do. I'm going to make the picture a bit smaller. And I think this is like a, what was it called again? Wow. Wow, this is complete blackout on my part tonight. That's okay. Texture effects. Let's just look real quick. I know what I'm looking for, but my brain's had a blackout right now. How hard can this be? This isn't it, is it? This is not it, it can't be. Or is it? There's a texture effect I'm looking for. I think I am. Would have been the first time I was wrong. Now it is when you just have one of those moments where you know exactly what you're looking for, but you cannot remember its name. That is this moment right now. This is a trick Bagoof showed me back in the day, but I've completely forgotten. I mean, it could be this one, and I'm just really not remembering it. Right. It could really be it. How did this work again? Unless... Right. Frequency 1. Okay, so yeah, look. There we go. So let's do this. So this is a really handy op. I can use this power factor, right? As you can see, we can already get like really interesting effects here. And I could just say, you know, I want to invert this, right? So basically, the pixel's white. It allows me to focus in there more. So I could use the power factor now and lower this because we're inverting it. And as you can see, we could really create very specific like depth of field effects, right? But when we plug this into here, the polar coordinates, we generate this kind of shape. So let me just disable, let me get rid of invert for now. And I'm going to click this so I can see what I'm doing. I'm going to turn this up. So as you can see, I can just really, I can use this to like create this kind of blur effect. And we can basically, we could use brightness now, for example, to lower this, or not sure it'll work. Slow that down. Yeah, so you know, we can use this to just create these like custom shapes, right? And this one now won't be affected by depth because it's not using that, right? But as you can see, we can really tweak these and get really interesting effects, basically. So yeah, that was just something I wanted to show because it just popped up. So let's put this here and let's put this back on how it was before. Let's put that scale back on 1. There we go. All right, so yeah, STV, I'm not going to start with lights right now because MatCap material doesn't use lights. That needs the Fung material, and lights is a very different thing, you know. So right now I'm just going to try and keep it here because you're right, there's like this purplish reflection kind of in between there. I could probably fake it with the MatCap, but that's going to be going a little bit too far for the amount of time with this one, I think. So I'm going to save this as Inconvergent copycat for cubes DOF. Okay. Great. All right. Let's do another one. New patch. Let's see. So, this kind of style, I've seen 1 or 2 things in Shader Toy which do this in real time. Is pretty sick, but they're also still like using like a feedback buffer because to render this amount of points and lines in real time is really, really difficult. It's now this kind of like smear-like effect. It's like if you don't clear the background and you move pixels and you draw them over and they've got like a lower alpha, you can get this kind of effect. I mean, this to me is just a stunning piece from Inconvergent, and I don't know if you can see it, but like all these little faded parts here, it's like you can only get that by lowering the alpha of something and having it continuously going like over the same point. It's kind of like getting a bit of pastel or pencil and like moving that over. You know, so if you do that with like something that you see here and you weren't clearing it, you know, it would smear over each other the whole time. It's a thing that a lot of people do with processing and well, just basically anything with graphics. I mean, I love the style, but it takes time to build an image. because that look, you know, you can't get that level of detail just in real time, at least not easily. But this is something I'd like to experiment with tonight, actually. So I'm going to use this image as an inspiration. I truly doubt I'm going to pull this one off in the stream, but that's not the aim, and that's okay. So I'm going to make a new project. I'm going to call it Inconvergent. Awesome Spiral. Sorry if that's the wrong name, Inconvergent. Just winging it as I go. So, you know, basically it's, you know, like I said, the whole idea, this whole technique is not clearing the background and just drawing over it again. Okay, so let's just close this one off. We don't need this. Let's move this here. All right, so let's just break it down. So we're going to start with the background, clear color. So I need to create a bunch of points that are going to move over the screen, and they have to move in these organic lines. I could use Sign, but I'm probably going to use something like Perlin, because why try to reinvent the wheel? So I'm just going to start with the background, and then I'm going to get a bunch of points, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make them rotate. Let's do that. Whoops. Do we even have the... Where was that? View change lock. Is there? Ha! Learn something new every day. Alright, so I'm going to grab main loop. Then I'm going to grab a sequence. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use point cloud. So first of all, I need a point material. Right. Hold it 1 minute. I've just got it. Sorry, Flux was turning on. I just noticed everything wasn't as bright as before. Okay, there we go. Right, so I'm going to grab a point cloud from array up, and just to check this is working, let's just grab a random numbers array 3. Boom, there we go. Great. So let's look at the colors. That kind of bluey green background. So let's go up here. I'm going to throw in a clear color, and I'm not trying to match it exactly right now. Just getting something similar, way darker. And those are white. Pretty much, let's just keep it simple. Make it white. Scale by distance. And as you can see, we've now got lots of points on the screen. Great, so that works. So what I want to do is make a horizontal line of points, and I'm going to build this myself. It's really not so difficult. So let's put this on, I don't know, 20. So I'm going to make a line just going from left to right, but like from some center point. So I'm going to need to create like XYZ points. So I know that I already need an array pack 3. I'm going to put this in 0 to 1. Then it's going to go from left to right. I'm going to create a new array up. Y and Z I really don't care about, so I'm going to put the number on 0. Now arrays always have to be the same length, so I'll get the array length out. I'm going to put it here. And this one's just actually going to go into Y and Z. If you hold in Alt and right click, you can copy, drag, and inlet. Okay, let's grab that and put that here. Let's grab this and put it there. Okay. So now we've made some points. I don't want them in the center because there's a hole. So let's use array sum. That's just to offset, right? There we go. So I can use this now to offset. So 0 is there. So let's say 0.25. I don't know. Can we call this later? Okay. So far so good. So the basic trick that I want to do is this. I could do it with a normal transform. I just want to keep it in array world right now. So I'm going to put this here. And there we go. See? So this is what I want to do. Just want to have this thing do that. Okay. So let's pull this down. So now I want these things, like, so think about it. I want them just to move left and right, because the up and down and everything else, that's going to be taken care of by the transform array when it rotates, right? So let's pull out, I want to add noise to the X position basically. So let's pull this out and grab an array purlin array. Okay. So we've got an array purlin. Let's make a bit more space. Yeah, let's just add them together to see what comes out. So I'm going to do array math array because I want to just add the purlin noise to that original X coordinate. So I'm going to grab that and I'm going to put this here. Now let's move time. There we go. Now if we look at purlin array and we look at the output, it normally outputs like between -1 and 1, but it's purlin, so it rarely reaches -1 and 1. But this is like too much. So we're just going to grab array multiply. And we're going to lower it to, I don't know, 0.1. Let's just see how this is going to work. So now I want to animate it. So I'm going to grab time in Y, and I'm going to grab a timer. Way too fast. Let's put it on 0.25. Now I don't think they're moving enough. Let's put it on 0.25. Okay. So let's use this timer. I mean, normally when you want to do, I mean, Inconvergent does a lot of, sorry, what's that? STV. Sounds like a mix with Taurus and the sci-fi copycat video. Do you mean the sci-fi tunnel? Because that was real time as it gets. There is no, the canvas gets cleared. I know it's not going to be like that at all. I mean, good luck getting this pulled off real time. If you can do it, please give me a shout. I would love to see how this can be done in cables. That level of detail at least. So when we've got like a timer, I always try and use it to keep everything in sync, because you know you want you know if it's generative, like you've got pure random and you've got like I don't know, you can put in a seed and get the same result, which is the way I like to do it, because then you can claim to be some digital artist that knows what they're doing. So let's multiply this number right here and say, I don't know, we can just do it like this. As you can see, it's now moving. All right, great. I'm going to grab an op called Keypress learn. Triggers when a certain key is pressed or released, right? So I'm going to click learn and I'm going to press the W key. Learn, W, hello. It's not working. I am missing something. Ah, it is. It is. That is just on press released. All right. So press W. Okay. So let me just check this is working. Sequence, F for flow mode. Okay. Ah, yeah. It's on canvas only. So if I press, so I'm pressing the W key now, but I'm pressing it when I'm here. And if it's on canvas only, it only happens when you're here, and if you click here with the mouse, then it doesn't. So I'm just going to turn that off for now because I'm going to press that a lot. Okay. So this is just so I can reset state, right? So I'm going to do it on key release. If I press W now, as you can see, I can put it back. And because that's going into the timing Y from the purlin noise, we're gonna constantly get the same result, which is great, because like if I'd want to make the result different, I could just add a number here, right? So if we want to get the it's not clearing thing, it needs to be in a texture, right? And this isn't a texture right now, you know, it's being calculated in 3D. You know what, let me just make these points a bit bigger because it's a stream and I sometimes forget that might not be so visible, so I hope you guys can see this okay. All right, so first of all, we're going to do a render to texture, and then everything's going to vanish, because in the background what you see normally is like a full screen rectangle. We just put that there because we just want you to see something if you add something to a scene. So if I click this, I see the scene, right? So let's move this up here. Let's go over here and add a full screen rectangle, and let's get that texture and plug it in. All right, so if we go to render to texture, you've got the clear option here, and I always get mixed up with this stuff. Right, so basically what's happening is the clear color is clearing the background each frame. There we go. All right, so if you've got a clear color there, what's happening is, you know, every frame, this is being drawn on top of what's there, right? That's it in a nutshell. So we take that out, we get this effect. But you know, how do we, you know, if we reset now, we get this, but we don't want it to keep drawing over like that. We want to be able to like clear the whole canvas, right? So I'm gonna make a trigger send, because I just don't like lots of long cables most of the time. I'm gonna create a new trigger, and I'm gonna call it reset, because I might need to use this in more places. So what I'm gonna do now is actually I'm gonna pull this out. I'm gonna grab an if true then, okay, and I only need to add this like one frame at the beginning. So we're gonna add this here, and we're gonna get this from Keypress learn, this boolean. There we go. So if I press W, I'm just gonna explain what's happening here. I press W and you can see it like right there. What happens is, because this is the first thing that's being hit, I could put a sequence in between just to be sure, but I press W and the clear color is just there for one frame, right? But because we're not clearing the background, it only has to be there for one frame, and that is now our background, right? But I don't know why it's popping back like that. I probably really need to be sure of the order, so let's add a sequence. I'm not sure if this is going to fix it right now. Let's say, hey, I definitely want this to happen first, and then I want the rest to happen later. Wow, what is that? Let's put MSA on for. I'm not too sure what that is. I would really expect this to be clearing itself right now. That's really strange. I just have to do this. It still isn't solving it. When in doubt, save and reload. So this is good to look at. So when we load, this is never evaluating to true, right? So maybe we need to do trigger once. Let's put that there. Could be completely wrong, go. Yep, I'm completely wrong. Boom. Just let's use the trigger here. That's never going to hit it, probably. There it is. Okay. being that silly. I think I'm going to solve this problem in a bit. Don't want to get too sidetracked with the technical stuff right now. Ah, there we go. So now we've got the clear color, which is just what I wanted. On load, basically. Okay, so as you can see, we've got this like really big thing going on there, and let's just scale. You know, we could scale it down the traditional way, or we can just use the no, we're not doing that. Okay, array multiply. So we're just gonna make it smaller on the x-axis, right? Let's actually make this a bit bigger. As you can see, when I move the image, you know, the canvas gets cleared, obviously. Wow, that's really bugging me with this thing being there. I'm not sure what it is I'm missing for that. Anyway, fix that some other day. So to get that effect, let's just first of all crank the time up. That's way too much. Let's put it here. So, you know, this has this like really granular like effect, and you know, to do that during the stream would take a long time because we'd have to like just watch the thing render. But if we want to get that kind of look, what we do is we go down and we do this with the alpha. Let's reset. So let's just give this a minute. Now, if we do this too fast, we're going to skip pixels, and it's not going to draw over each other, right? And now we're just getting the basics in place, okay? So let's take a look at what's going to happen. Now, that's something I don't like. You see that like hard seam there? So what can we do about that? Well, we know that the time in Y is what's affecting this. So, this needs a rethink. Okay, I'm doing this the wrong way around. All right, let's just do this for a minute. Okay, so this timer I'm going to put on like 10. Yeah, so it's going to go way faster now. And that purling stuff's going to move really quick. So now I'm going to put this on a multiply. I'm going to do this on a low number. All right, so I want it to, yeah, so let's grab a modulo, okay? So when this rotates 360 degrees, as you can see, you know, we're gonna have a full circle, right? So let's put modulo on 360. Okay, let's do this first, and I'm gonna put this multiply just on 1. I'm gonna grab this, I'm gonna plug it in there. Let's do this. So basically what we're doing is when this modulo loops, the time in value going into the purling array is going to be the same, and that should mean that those lines match up at the seam. I don't know why that bothers me so much, but it's just something I want to solve right now. So let's just see if that's going to work. So if all goes well, this is gonna loop, and when it gets there, it's gonna just like match up, and we won't have this big seam. Boom. All right. But now we have a problem. It's just gonna render exactly the same thing. So as you can see, you know, it's getting brighter because it's going over exactly the same pixels, and it's just adding more value to them. So, you know, you solve one problem, then you get another one, because this original piece from Inconvergent, there's like so many things changing here. I mean, this could have taken, I don't know what technique you used to make it. It could have taken an hour, where it's just been drawing it again and again and again on all these different passes. Like it went from here, and then it reset and went there and went through a different noise seed, which is probably why we've got that line there, because here you can see there's almost no movement, basically. And as we get near the end, it becomes heavier. So maybe we can try something like that. So now we've got this rule, because generative art is all about rules. You create some rules and you create more rules, but you build upon the basics. So how about we come up with this rule now? We want it at the beginning when we press W. At the beginning, we want it to not be noisy, and later on, we want it to be noisy. So let's look at this array multiply. I'm doing 0.25. 0.2 is actually enough. And I'm just going to turn this up a touch, because I'm not sure how visible this is for you guys on the stream. Because this is just about getting it right. Okay, so we're going to use the mighty map range op, which I absolutely love. So we know that one of our rules is it's always going to give a number between 0 to 360. So we're going to say old min is 0, old max is 360. Now, let's say that the new min is 0 and then 0.2. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to feed this into the array multiply. And I'm going to press W. So when it starts, there we go. There's almost no noise being added because we're multiplying by 0 and that's just getting added to the x position, right? And as it goes around more and more, then it should get noisier and noisier the closer it gets to the end. It's a little bit of a slower stream tonight because this technique is just basically done by drawing things in this way, which is something I've experimented with cables in the past, but never done a lot with. And there you go. All right, that's pretty cool. That's like one look. But we can do better. Let's say I'd want it to not be noisy, become noisy, and then not become noisy and be seamless, right? Because I'm not trying to do this exactly right now. This is an inspiration to try stuff out. And let's just make this guy bigger. This could fit more on the screen. Let's try it like this. Think a little bit more still. I mean, he's pretty much got it in a square there, so let's just do it like this. Okay. All right. The thing that comes to mind is this. Let's get parse array. This allows us to turn a string into an array. Make sure you got numbers on. So what I want to do now is it's like visualizing a line or a waveform, right? It's multiplying the noise. So I want 0 noise at the beginning, most of the noise here, less noise there, the same. So I want to have this like, you could think it's almost a sine, but I don't want to use a sine because that's very limiting. I really want to be able to change this later on dynamically. So let's get it simple first. 0, 0.2, 0. Control S, save. So now I'm going to pull out the array and I'm going to grab interpolate numbers array. Interpolate between all values of an array. Like this is seriously, I think, one of the most coolest underrated ops that's out there. Like I've used this thing so often to achieve amazing things. So basically, let's unplug this. So we've got this map range, right? And we're going to keep this rule 0 to 360. And we have the new min and the new max. So what we want to do is, no matter what the length of this array is, we want to be able to interpolate between all the values when this number is going from 0 to 360. So we get the length of the array and we plug that into new max, because our 0.2 value or whatever value we want to use, that is now inside here. Okay, all right. So now we need to interpolate between it. So if we look here, this is exactly what we're going to do. This is now going to go between all the values of the array. So once again, old min 0, old max is 360. That's our timed loop. New min is 0, new max is the length of the array that we're dynamically creating. So this is our interpolation value. So now if I look here and I press W, we start at 0. There we go, I think. Let me just check. Let's just plug it in and find out. There we go. So I'm going to press W. So there should be no noise at the beginning, and it's going to go up, and basically when it's going to come back, so it's going to be the noisiest at 180 degrees, because that's exactly 0.2, right? And when it comes back here, then it should go back to exactly the same value, which is multiplied by 0. Great. Okay. What if I want that to be different on each iteration? Because this is just looping over each other now. I may as well just turn the alpha up and I'll get the same result. Excuse me. So we need to say so if we grab a floor that returns the lowest number, and we're going to say equals, result is true if, so I just want to test this now. Let's just put it on 0 and wait for it to count around. Trigger changed true. So when this gets to 0, I should get a trigger. Just want to check. Hope it did. I completely missed it. I think it did. All right. I'm going to just trust that it did. So what I'm going to do now is I get a trigger whenever it's on 0, right? Which is good because when it starts each time, I also want it to be different. Okay. So the Perlin array, this time here is something we could use, but it's got a seed number, right? And if I change this, as you can see, we get, I'm just wiggling it now with the mouse, we get these nice patterns. So that's what we're going for. So we need a seed between 0 and 1. So when we say trigger change true, we're going to say trigger random number. Okay, between 0 and 1. Awesome. So what I'm going to do is now I'm going to connect that to the seed. I'm going to press W. A little bit on the slower side tonight with the stream because obviously we have to wait for this to update. I could crank the speed up a little bit. So now we've already got a different seed than last time. So basically what I'm hoping for, as you can see, we've got a wildly different pattern. What I'm hoping for is that when it's going to hit the scene, which is like 0/360, that the lines aren't going to overlap. That's what I'm hoping for. Fingers crossed. Oh yeah, there we go. Nice. Okay, now this is great because basically we're now closer to the original look that Inconvergent has in that piece. Now the thing is, the alpha blending is like still way too high, basically. And you know, this is like, I'm not seeing anything there. So this was the whole idea. Let's get back to that on creating this, right? So now you have to think, we're interpolating, right? So we're going between 0, 0.2, and then 0. So this 0 to 0 is this part here, and 0.2 is there. So we can change this as much as we'd like right now, right? So I could put this on 0.1, and then 0, and then we could put it on 0.2, and then 0, and I'm going to save. And now I'm going to press W. And we're going to get a different pattern now, because this map range is getting the value of 0 to 360, which is a complete rotation, and it's mapping it to the length of the array. Right now, here you go. You can see it. So 0, 0.1, 0, 0.20. So now we get two parts which become really rich. They become noisy, and two parts that don't. It's basically three, but this is the scene, right? Actually, I don't need this one. I think. Let me just try it again. So 0, 0.1, 0, 0.2, and it should just loop around to 0. Let me just check. Could be just 1 0 too many though. And the thing is, this is great because we're kind of like writing a timeline for stuff that we want to have happen. And this little part here, we can use that with everything, right? We could use it to change the color. We can use it. There we go. So look, 0, a value, 0, a value. So you've got 0, a value, 0, a value, 0. See, I was wrong. So we do need that 0. That's to make it loop, basically. All right, press W again. All right, so this is interesting. We can use this for other stuff, right? So, like I said, to get this look, I'd have to leave it on for a really long time, and you'd need the timer to go like this, basically, like. So put it on 2, it's going super slow, probably even slower than this, and I just want to make this clear, and let's put this like there, and put it on W. So normally you'd have it like this, and then you draw this like 200-300 times, like you shouldn't even actually see them right now, it should be that little. And that is the only way that you'd get this kind of look. But I'm not doing that on the stream tonight because I don't want you guys to die of boredom from watching what's happening, basically. So let's crank this up again, back to 10. You know what? Somebody must have made a Spinal Tap joke, so let's just do 11. All right. And it's still a bit too faded. We're just exploring the rules here, right? Like, how can we get this to do what we'd like? So, so how about we use something like this to change the color? Just something really simple. So we've got this little system here, right? So we're going to grab that, and we're going to put it over here, and we're going to grab the same number, and we're going to plug that into value. So let's say that I'd want to change the, I'm just picking one number now, the red value. So the red value is between 0 and 1, right? So I'm going to go here to parse array, I'm going to say edit, and I'm going to say when these waves are happening, I want it to become 1, and when not happening, I want it to become 0, right? So I'll just go in here, and the parts, so I know that these, I know when these waves are happening because I'm creating this thing myself. So this is where the waves are in the other parse array. And this is like probably not going to look very good, but I'm just trying out rules, right? So I'm going to plug this into point material red, and I'm going to press W. And what's going to happen is the color should change more when it's noisy and change less. Actually, let's just crank this up so that you can just see this in one go. All right, W, let's just do it. Ignore those lower dots. I'm not sure what I've got to do right now to get rid of them. So look at that. When there's pretty much no noise, we've got no red in there. And when it becomes noisy, we add the red. And in this case, because we've got RGB fully open, we get this. Kind of cool. That worked. Okay. Now, yeah, of course, we could, I mean, that's not the look like in the picture, but if we lower this now, and we do this, we're gonna go from black to red. Yeah, okay. So this is really cool. This is what I mean with just like, you know, we've just got this rule now that the number between 0 to 360, we're mapping the range and we're looking at values based upon that, right? Now, the thing is, we're only moving stuff on the x-axis, okay? And we've got this array multiply here, and that's working pretty cool. And as you can see now, this nice little trick that we built there, that every single time that it does a loop, we get a different iteration, right? We're picking a different seed with the pearl, and this alone, I could get this now put the alpha really low, put the timer really low, and then just like hit it, put it on full screen, and then just like leave it like for an hour and come back. And this is the cool part with cables. You can just click in the screen now, and you can click this button, and boom, you download an image. Now, I'm not going to go to that image right now because I don't want to show everybody my hard drive. But that's how quick and easy it is to get an image, right? So let's just go back to where we were before. Let's put this here, let's put this there. And you know, the sky's the limit with this, right? You know, we could use mesh instancer instead of, should we just try it? Let's just try it, right? Why not? So I'm gonna put an if true then in between. So let's grab this, and I'm just gonna put this over here. And I mean, I don't have to get rid of what I've got here right now. And I'm gonna grab a circle. Circle mesh draws a circle. Great. And let's just go to the mesh instance of you. I'm gonna press W, and we're not gonna see much right now because we don't have a positional array. So I'm gonna lower the radius, and look, I'm changing this, but I'm not seeing anything because I've got clear disabled, right? So let's put, whoops. Let's put clear on, just so I can see what I'm doing, right? So let's put this on 0.01, right? This needs a color, so let's give it basic material, okay? And let's put that on white for now. Okay. This is just a quick experiment. So the positional array we've already got, right? So we go here and we grab this, we plug that into positions. And as you can see, we now have this going on. Let's just turn the clear back off. And we're still rendering the original circle. So I'm going to click off draw. And why is it now not moving? If true then. That is unusual. Ah, okay. So look, the trigger is coming from there. So that's my bad. So I'm just going to be really lazy here and just plug this one in and this one. Press W. All right. So those circles are obviously way too big. So I'll put on 0.01, press W. They are still crazy massive. 1 W. All right. So look, there we go. That's pretty cool so far. And then we could put the alpha down to 0.5, 0.2. And we get this. So now we've got something which is pretty much looking the same with the mesh instancer, but the beauty of it is now we can change the size of every single circle, which is something we could not do with the point material. So let's try and not get too carried away here. So, and this is also rendering like way too fast. Let's just put it on like 7 for now. Okay, so let's make the circles a little bit bigger. So what I'm going to do is there's going to be a scale array. So I'm just going to get an array. The array length, let's look at this. So this is on 60, so we need to get the number of points, which is 20. I'm going to plug that in here, and let's zoom in. Because I want to repack this, right? So I'm going to do array pack 3. Okay. Let's plug this in here. So it's a circle, so I want the scale to be the same on everything basically. We need an XYZ array for this. So now I'm going to get this, I'm going to plug that into scale array. Now we won't really see a difference. We've got to turn this up to 1, and that number 1 will give us what this size is. So 1 with the scale array is this there. So the beauty of this is now we can go here and we can make the circles bigger, which is pretty cool. The cool part is we can change this randomly, right? So let's just think about this for a minute. Let's just clean this up. Okay, so we got that rule 0 to 360, right? So we can go here now and we can just grab this section again and put it over here. I know it's becoming a little bit messy, but no worries. It's where the magic happens. I'm going to hold in Alt, right click, and I'm going to drop that in value. So let's say I want the scale to go from 1 to, say, 3. So it's going to become bigger as it hits these noisy parts, right? So I'll go to parse array. These are my rules. So I'm going to put this on 2, and then I'm going to put this on 3, and I've got no idea how this is going to look. And we're going to put this into array number. And that's just a value that's applied to everything in the array. Let's press W. So they're really small. That's my bad. So we're going to parse array. These should be a value of 1, 1, and 1. Let's save. Okay. So when I'm really small and thin, and as they're going to get more noisy, they should become bigger. But that really, really isn't enough. So let's just make it really over the top insane. Let's do it even more, because they're pretty tiny. Whoops. Save, press W. Okay, so that's pretty cool. Let's lower the alpha, right? So we get more of this faded look. And let's see how it's going to look now when we do it. Because they're going to go over each other, right? And this is still way too much, but I mean, when it's going to go for another pass, let's just, I mean, we could even do something like, yeah, I just don't want you guys to get bored of watching stuff. So I just don't want it to take too long. So let's put it here. I just wanted to do 2 passes, okay? I'll tell you now, this is a perfect opportunity for me to grab a quick drink. So I'm going to be back literally in 1 minute. And I'm going to lower it even more because I still think that's a bit too much. So I'm going to press save, WW. Okay, I'll be back in 1 moment. Hey everybody, thanks for waiting. Okay, so for alpha way too high. Hey, this is generative stuff. You don't get it right the first time, but that's okay. So I'm gonna crank that alpha back up again so we can see what's happening. So I really like this because this is like really interesting. Rule set basically in place that we can play around with. As we've seen, we can change the color. We could change the alpha value. Basically, there's like so much stuff we could do. And the thing is, that's the really cool part with this trick with the parse array and interpolate numbers array. This stuff doesn't have to be the same, right? So, I mean, what happens if I put this on 1? Let's do this. It's going to go bonkers, basically. And I thought it was getting like way too big before. So let's put this on 10 and let's put this on 5. Save. Press W. Okay. So this is really nice. This parse array allows us to create like a dynamic set of rules, and they can all be different lengths, right? This one, and this one. And you can even go further and create other little tricks, like, for example, imagine we just want something to happen 4 times inside of the loop, right? So this is a modulo of 360, right? So if we get this output and we say multiply by 0.25, it's never going to go higher than 90, if I'm correct, if I remember my basic math. Right, great. So let's try it. So we're going to unplug this, and we're going to... actually, no, sorry, that's silly. So we have a modulo of 0 to 360, and then we do a modulo of 90, my bad, because we want it to happen 4 times, right? So the map range, we say old max is 0 to 90, and we're now going to plug this into value, and let's reset. And then basically we're saying go through this array, which is changing the size, like 4 times in 1 complete cycle, right? And this becomes really interesting then, because like, if this array has like a length of 7, and this array has a length of 8, these two things are never gonna truly overlap with each other. And that's like a really simple rule, which is, gonna create some really interesting stuff. That's that purling on 1. That's like way too much. That's here. But hey, it's interesting. We're trying stuff out. So like, yeah, 1 was just, that's not pretty. Let's put it on 0.25. Nice and subtle. But look, we're getting some really interesting stuff here. And now I don't have to press W to reset it, basically, because I don't think it really can cause a jump here, but no worries. So as you can see, we're getting like really interesting results out of this. So I'm trying to think of something else now, which is like, let's simplify this for a minute, okay? Let's go to the Perlin multiplier. I think just got way too busy there. So let's put it on 0.05, 0.1, 0.05, 0.2, 0.2, 0.1, 0.2, 0.05. So this is like the multiplier for the Perlin, right? So I always now want some Perlin to be added. That's it, really. Still feels just like way too much. Yeah, okay. Let's cut down these rules for a minute. So let's get rid of the one that I was doing with the color. Let's just leave as is. I want to get something a bit prettier now, because that's what we're going for. So the 0.2 is a lot. So let's just start again. Yeah, and the size here. Yeah, I think this 5 and 10, that's just too much. Let's just put it on 3 and 2, really subtle. All right. Just want to get it back to the basics. We're trying everything out. Okay, this looks better. Okay. So I'm just trying to think what I can do now here to add more rules to this, right? Without it all becoming absolutely crazy and chaotic, basically. That pass array is throwing a red dot at me there. Not all values are numerical, so I messed up. There we go, did the 0.0.05. Save. Okay, error's gone. Okay, so it's basically doing the last values that it kept. Okay, so the interesting part is because it's becoming smaller, it looks like the alpha's gone down, but it's not. So, do you guys have any suggestions for something that I could throw in there as a rule based upon what we've been working on so far? Because it's been a little bit quiet in the chat, but there's still lots of people watching, so thanks for sticking around. It's always better than patching along. So yeah, does anybody have any ideas with something that they'd like to see happen there? Okay, a little bit quiet tonight, no worries. So, there's so many things we could do, right? Like, you know, we have this trigger. Yeah, let's do this. So we want to start keeping track of like how many times it loops, right? I shouldn't do what I'm going to do now, but it's just for the wow factor. I just want to try it. So I'm going to do image compose. I'm going to grab a draw image. I just want to see if this works. Then I'm going to grab a Luma key. Let's hope it works in these really thin lines. I'm going to add that there. Okay, so let's click this. So you see the brighter parts of the image there. So I can like grab just parts of the image, right? Like this, and then I'm gonna blur it. Let's say 2. And I'm gonna put the screen size and say 512 by 512 because full screen blurs are expensive. Let's move all this up out of the way of the main patch. This is like the render pass. I just want to add like a little glow. Hey Bud, ATW. Came in a few ago and thought, wow, he's patching the weirdest Lichtenberg ever. I do not even know what a Lichtenberg is. Got a Wikipedia link. This optic would work well with FFT and sync to 360 degrees per 4 bars. It would if we weren't drawing it over the canvas. And I've already got like an idea or two of like how we could do this with pushing values into a buffer, which would not give the kind of like smeared pastel like look. There's so many things we can do, but I'm just keeping it simple for now. I actually wanted to do like another piece tonight, but this is going really cool actually. I'm just having fun playing around with it because I love making generative art like stuff. And I also like making really real-time stuff, but I mean I think it's really interesting to do this with cables. So hold it, let's grab the original image, let's put that there. Let's just get back to that, right? So this is going to be the original image. And what we want to do now is we want to get this and we want to add it on top. It's like a good old school bloom. Can add so much to just a simple image. So let's get this. Let's plug it in there. We get that, right? And then we're just gonna say add, maybe screen. Turn this down. So look at that. That's like without the bloom. That's with, and you know we have to kind of like tweak the loom key here. Like where do we? And look at that. That's already adding so much to the picture. Actually, I'm really pleasantly surprised. I mean, wow! Look at this. Look at this. Without, with, without, with. That's pretty cool. Nice. Put it on. Ah, there we go. 2, 3. You know that's too much. 1 is the sweet spot. Yeah, I like that. We could now add a touch of noise to the blur like we did before. Let's turn that off, do this, crank it up a little bit, put it on subtract actually. So that'd be like this. It's just adding like grit, right? I don't want to add it to the whole image, just to the blur, just to add these imperfections. I could add it there later. So this is already coming out pretty interesting. Quick answer from Bud, A to W. Lichtenberg figures the patterns left over from high voltage impacts. Like people who got struck by lightning, they often have burn marks like this. Wow, I learned something new today. Okay, I don't know if I want to Google this, but I've got to do it for a moment now. Lichtenberg figures. Oh boy. What? Ah, I remember seeing this when there's like this high voltage is pushed through wood. You get this really, really crazy stuff going on. Oh boy, yeah. Okay, all right. I get it. Great. We could also do something like this, I suppose, where instead of doing a circle, we make it go up from the center and then branch out. All right, let's do that in a minute. Which we can just probably use this template to do that, if I'm correct. Yeah, I've got an idea for that. I think. All right, save W. Okay, so I'm not too sure where I'm going to go with this right now. As always, it's a live stream, so basically I don't always have a clue what it is that I'm going to do or end up doing. I do prefer to look with the mesh instance because it provides more options. Basically, it allows me to do more stuff. But this multiply there on the purling array. I put 0.5. That explains why it looks horrible. Okay, because I'm also trying to tweak something to look cool here as well. Okay, so I'm just thinking, how could we speed this up without having to wait for it? Yeah, that was a risky click of the day during a live stream. So I'm just thinking, how can we hurry this up? Well, how about we cheat, right? Let's grab transform array. Let's grab the other array. Let's flip it 180 degrees. Let's get the same array. Let's plug that in there. And let's do, we're going to get the timer. Alt, right click, drag. So one should be turning this way, the other one should be turning that way. Actually, why are we even flipping it on the x-axis? We can just make them both start from the same point. So we go here and we just multiply this timer by -1, which flips the number. And then we're going to do array merge. Merge two arrays. Array 2 is placed behind array 1. Okay, because this is just positional stuff. So we're just going to merge them together. Yeah, this is feeling proper cheeky. Let's plug this in here. Everything should stop. Let's plug this one in here. And let's press W. And I've got the feeling I'm completely wrong with what's happening right now. Give me a minute. I would expect to see... Okay, let me just try this out quick. Let me just plug this one in here to positions. Right, hold it. That is going... So that is going the other way. And... this one should be going the other way, right? So do array merge. Ah, okay. So obviously what's happening right now is this, I'm merging two arrays together and I'm changing the array length, which is completely and utterly messing up this one. Right, so the scale array needs to have the same size as the positional array. The arrays need to be the same length. So I just need to get this array length out and pop that into this, which is the length of that array, and let's get rid of that one. And now we're going to plug this into the positions, press W, profit. All right. So now we're rendering it as a mirror, which is also kind of cool. All right. And if we now go to the x-axis and we'd rotate it 180 degrees and then start it. Wrong axis then. There we go. So this is also interesting, even though it's the same. Now, problem is they're the same, and that's actually not what I want. So let's do... So something you've got to keep an eye on is like calculating things you don't need to. But I'm actually not going to worry about it with this one right now. And this is also kind of cool, but this is not what I want. So let's go before the transform array, and let's say shuffle array 3. Shuffles randomizes the order of an array of triplets, because this is an array, this is an XYZ array. Let's press W. This should now not be the same. Am I completely and utterly wrong here? Wouldn't be the first time. That's looking real the same. That looks exactly the same. What is happening? Is it working? This is exactly the same. What's happening? I must really be messing something up here. I'm not seeing any errors. Oh yeah, okay, that's kind of cool. Now we've offset them. Why is this not shuffling like I'd expect it to? I mean, this is also a really cool thing as well. You know, it also has a certain aesthetic look to it. You know, and the fun part about this is, you know, even though it's the same and it's mirrored, because it's offset, it's not going to overlap, or is it? No, it's not, which is kind of cool, but it's still not shuffling the way that I'd like. What gives? This is actually nice, the patterns that come out. I would just expect this to be doing what I want right now, but it's not. I mean, 0.7, 0.5. So this is constantly changing. The should also be constantly changing. And the reason we're using the shuffle array 3 is because we're only changing the X component. I'm really confused though why this is doing the same thing. That is not what I expect. And this should not make a difference in the slightest. I don't want to spend too long on it though. If I'm getting stuck, I'm not too sure what it is. Let me just pause the timer, right? So everything just freezes. I just need to look at this. So let's put this. What's that first number? 0.55, 0.59, 0.25. They're different. It's probably something really simple that I am missing, but so be it. I mean, I'm not gonna put too much time into this now. Okay, let's put that timer back on. Okay. But as you can see, the trick is, and this is actually really fun, we could just do this 2 or 3 or 4 times and just merge them into each other and then just create this bigger array, you know, so that we don't have to wait so long for the screen to fill up, basically. I mean, I'm just really curious. This is probably going to look horrible, but I'm just really curious. So we're going to rotate 2 axes, right? Press W. All right, let me just check this out. Like, yeah, no, Mark, don't break the pattern. Okay, save. W. All right, you know what? I think I'm just gonna do one last thing, which was change the color a little bit, the red amount. So I'm gonna put, this is for the color. No, this was for scale. So I was using this one for color, right? So let's go over here. Let's put it on 0, 1, 0.75. And just putting in random numbers here. Because the whole idea is, again, that they're going to loop. And I want these color changes to actually happen more often. So I want it to happen twice in a rotation. So I'm going to put it on a modulo of 180. So it's going to happen twice in one cycle. I'm going to put this in on the value. Old max is 180. And then we're going to get that interpolated value from the array. And we're going to plug that into the red. I'm going to press save. I'm going to reload. Actually, I don't think these values are enough, or it's just taking a while to get there. Now, if I'm not, the alpha is just really low, which is why we then don't see it, right? Which makes perfect sense. W. So yeah, obviously if we'd have the alpha lower now and we'd let it do more cycles around and around, then we'd see this smoother, overdrawn look, basically. Oh, you know what? I'm just gonna let this do 2 or 3 cycles. And actually, this one with the scale. almost there. I'm going to turn this down because I just want to watch this for a bit now. There's been quite a bit of time going into it. Let's put this on 0.25 and let's just see what we get for 2 or 3 minutes. One moment. Getting chilly. Now I could turn the alpha even lower, but you get the point. And now because we've offset this like with a second array, we have to wait for it to loop like 2 times before it becomes kind of seamless. But this is really interesting. So like for example, this white is always going to be on the same position. Right, and you know, we could do these things like whenever we've hit a full cycle, which is this one here, right? When it equals 0, we could then like add an offset. Or we could shuffle the array as well. There's a lot of options with this. All right, you know what? I'm gonna just save this. I'm gonna say save as tree. Smeared. Okay. The last little idea before I'm going to wrap stuff up in a little bit. So I'm just going to get rid of this array merge. I want to just keep things a little bit simple right now. So this needs to have the same length as the amount of points. Right there, W. Okay, so let's say I don't want this to rotate and these are moving like this. Let's get rid of the offset. This should all now appear in the middle. Okay. So every time I press W, it resets. So now I'm going to go here and I'm just going to put this on 0, 0.01, comma 0.25, comma 0.5, comma 1. I'm going to save that. Oh, made an error. There we go. So you get this warning pop up if there's a parsing error there, basically. So if I press W, so the thing is, I need to rotate this like, say, actually, I don't want this to all get messed up in my head. Let's put the rotation for a minute on 0, because this thing I'm going to do is not with rotate. And let's just swap. I need to do it with X and Y. Give me a minute, I'm thinking out loud. So these are all moving on the same spot, but you just don't see it. Should just add up now with the purling. I'm missing something. All right, there we go. Did I put? Oh, I put in 2 zeros. That's silly. All right, reset. And they start moving straight away. Great. So what I want to do is, I want to create some kind of tree, right? So that means we need to put these guys down. So say here. This an offset, probably. Okay, so we've got array 0 to 1. So we need to do array subtract 0.5 because we want it in the center. And let's grab this Perl and array thing here and plug that in there. Make a bit more space. Save, reload. Should be centered now. Okay, great. So I wanted to create this thing where over time, they're just basically moving up, and they're going out more and more. That should actually not be so difficult. So we have this timer. Now I need to see, like, so that's minus 0.5, and let's say it's going to go to, I don't know, 0.6. Okay, so we're going to get this modulo, and I can't be bothered changing the 0 to 360 because everything is like being put into that. So let's just keep that. Let's be nice and lazy and put it on a map range. So we say 0 to 360 is going to become minus 0.5 to 0.6, and we're now going to plug that into the translate Y. I'm going to press W. Now they're all moving up. So far, so good. As you can see, this is a system which can now be used for an awful lot of things. So the cool part is here, this array multiplies like the amount of purlin, which is like really off the scale right now. Okay. 0. 0 and then 0.1, 0.05, comma 0.2, comma 0. Well, let's just try this out. Press W. So the thing is, I want them to like branch out from the middle, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to get this, which is just the X position, because this is like the multiplier for the purlin. And we're just going to throw an array multiply here. So all we need to do, we want it to be in the middle at the beginning. So let's just grab another map range. I'm just trying stuff out here. 0 to 360, right? That's our range. It could all be different later. And I want to just have this go from 0 to 1, which is like the multiplication strength right here. I'm going to plug that in there. I'm going to press W. They should all be in the center at the beginning, and they should slowly go out more and more as we go up. Right. Obviously not a tree, and I'm not going for a tree right now. So we could apply smooth step so it goes up straighter at the beginning, but actually let's just do this trick that we've got here so we can create our own custom control. I'm going to grab that, I'm going to put it in here. I'm going to say 0 to 360 is going to become, and let's do this parse array now. I'm going to say 0, 0, 0.01, comma 0.02, comma 0.1, comma 0.3. You know, the more values I'm putting in, the longer I'm going to kind of make it take. Save. And let's now plug that into this multiply that we had before for everything. Press W. So there shouldn't be a whole lot happening at the beginning. And I actually want this to start lower, so say minus 0.65. Start again, okay. Can crank the timer up a bit. There we go. Not what I expected. All right, so tree idea is kind of boring actually. So let's just do this. 0.001, comma, 1, and then comma 0.01, comma 0. So we're just creating our own kind of like wave there. Just going to turn the timer up so we can see what's happening. I just kind of like want it to diverge when it's near the middle. There we go. Do its funky stuff. And then come back. So this should just like start again, actually, when it hits the top. And come back up from the beginning. I just want to check, and then it should just draw some more stuff in the middle of a different seed, I hope. Yeah, okay, great. So I don't think it looks at all good. So, you know, we can put this on a higher value, like 0.2, and then start it again. As you can see, we get this. Now the interesting thing is the value coming out is between 0 and 1. But as you can see, we can now use this to draw these shapes that we want there. Basically, they don't have to be on 0. You know, we could do 0.05, add that to the end, and then we could put this on. Let's do this on 0.5. This on 0.5. I'll show you what we're going for in a moment. Now the interesting thing here is we're only doing it on X. You know, we're in 3D space, right? So we could also be rotating this, if I'm correct, on the Y axis. And then it should spiral. There we go. Yeah, that's what I was going for. So the thing is, the purling is a little bit much there, but that's the beauty of this system now. You know, we can tweak that, right? So we can go here now, and this is the overall multiplier, but this is like the purling multiplier. So that's the one I need to tweak. Yeah, this 0.2. That's the biggie. So I didn't say this look amazing, but it's got a lot of potential there, because I mean this rotate thing is actually kind of cool. If we, let's just say we do this, just I don't know, 0.2 and then 0.5 and then 0.2. So we're going to let the purling do a lot more. And the thing is, let's just disconnect this one for a minute, put it on 1. So what's happening now, it's doing this on the x-axis, but it's also rotating around, right? Now you get all these dots because we're going too fast, which means we're skipping pixels, which means we don't get that look like Inconvergent's got in their art stuff, which is basically way more iterations and loops over each other. But this is already really interesting because you know, if we're going to do this rotate part here, let's do a multiply of 2, which means we're going to rotate 720 degrees per cycle. And let's restart it. So this is a way to, you can just go wild with this. I mean, I'm not saying it looks amazing, but the fact that I've just got this rule-based system in place now where I can just like tweak things and keep working on it, I think that's like really, really kind of cool. Like if I'm looking at this right now, I could do that little trick I did before, right? So if I'm gonna subtract 1 from this and move it over there, I'm going to get this transform array. I'm going to grab that there, and I'm then going to get this and plug that also into rotation Y. I'm going to flip it by multiplying it by -1. I'm going to do array merge because I want to put one array after the other. This needs a trigger. I'm going to put that one there. And as we remember from before, the scale needs the correct length, which is this one right here. So we're now going to disconnect this positional array. We're going to put this one in there. And whoops. Do I have to do this on both? Here we go. So the thing is, I think we're kind of getting this look because of perspective, right? Things are low to the camera and they move up. So I have no idea if this is going to look good now. I'm curious what happens if we put our orthogonal there. We squash this into... Ah, okay. Wait. So we're not moving that second one up. Translate Y. There we go. So with orthogonal, you know, we lose the size difference based upon distance. So I actually think no. Let's get rid of that. There we go. Right, so now they're both going up, which is what I was going for before. Can also do it like this. Now this is going really fast, of course. I just want to put it on slow and just look at this for a minute. With this. Get more of that look we're going for. And the sky's the limit with this. We can tweak this. Let's do really crazy stuff. I mean, there's so many things we could do. And so many ways this can be explored. Like I said, it's a classic technique, right? That you are just creating a couple of rules and then letting things just recursively draw. Sorry, not recursively, just draw over themselves again and again and again. So yeah, yeah, there's a lot of ideas with this. I'm not happy with this one though, but I mean, can't win them all, I suppose. Let's just clean this up for a minute because I'm not going back to the thing that I had before. So you know what? Let's just get rid of this. Let's get this. Tidy up for a minute. Okay. Yeah, I think I'm going to leave it at this for now. I've got a lot of ideas of stuff that I could do, but they don't always work out, especially with this approach where you've got to kind of wait to see it draw, I suppose. You know, there's nothing wrong with cranking that speed up so you can see where it's going in the meantime. So I'm actually just thinking tomorrow I'll tweak the first patch that I saved, and I'm just going to leave it for like a good 10-15 minutes and see if I can get like this, at least some of that look that Inconvergent's got on that piece that I was originally inspired by, because I think that just takes time and like really tweaking the alpha the right way to get a similar kind of look. So I'm just going to do my version of that. I'm going to grab my big monitor over here and just get like a really nice HD render, and then I'm just going to put that on and hope that after 10-15 minutes that it looks kind of cool. this is a really nice technique, and as you can see, you know, it's all just dependent on this triggering things. Is this what I had to do? Let me just reload. I just want it to be correct when I load. There we go, great. So there's a lot of things you can do. There's so many little mathematical patterns that you can create, but I'm really happy with this thing with the parse array, interpolate numbers array. It just allows you to create like a set of mathematical instructions based upon time, and you can synchronize them or desynchronize them. It's up to you. Before I wrap up the stream tonight, does anybody have any questions? And I'd like to say thank you to everybody that stuck around and has been following and participating. As always, it's really appreciated. Okay, so I'll be tidying up one or two of the patches, and then I'm gonna go publish them tomorrow at some time. It'll take a day or two for the video recording to get published on YouTube, in case you want to watch this back and follow it and then try something again. Alright, Thomas, thanks for the reply. So yeah, I'm going to call that a wrap for tonight. So once again, thanks to everybody for having joined tonight. It's really appreciated. I'm not too sure what we'll be doing next week. As always, we'll keep you posted. Just follow us on the social media with Twitter or on Facebook or on Instagram. Twitter's the best one to get these kind of announcements. That's the immediate communication channel. Hey, thank you, Thomas. Thank you, Bod ATW. I love doing this kind of stuff, and I love sharing these experiments with other people. And this is something I'd like to try again in the future with more time and experience. So I'm going to wish everybody a really good night. Have a great time creating stuff with cables. If you've got any questions, please come over to the forum. Even better yet, Discord. If it's a bug, post it on the forum. If it's a general knowledge question, post it in Discord. Like somebody today asked if we have OSC support, just typed it in there, boom, there you go. So, you know, for that kind of stuff, throw it in Discord. Bugs, throw it in the forums, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. So have a good one. I'll see you next time. Bye.